The Karakoram Range is home to some of the most aggressive terrain on Earth, anchored by the 12th highest mountain in the world, Broad Peak. This 8,000-meter giant sits alongside K2, forming a skyline defined as much by its beauty as its history of lethal avalanches. Above the 8,000-meter mark, climbers enter the death zone. In this thin atmosphere, the human body cannot process enough oxygen to sustain itself, causing physical systems to deteriorate and leaving almost no margin for survival in an emergency. Nature here is entirely indifferent. High-altitude winds are capable of shearing tons of snow from a precipice in seconds, creating unstable conditions that can turn a standard route into a death trap without warning. Despite these objective dangers, the allure of the world's highest peaks remains a primary driver for human ambition. For those who climb at this level, the risk is the price of entry into the sublime. Nirmal Nimsdai Porja rose to fame by challenging these very limits. A former British Special Forces soldier, he reached the summit of all 14 8,000ers in just over 6 months, a feat that significantly accelerated the pace of high-altitude mountaineering. In July 2026, Porja was back on Broad Peak, leading a 10-person expedition for his company, Elite Exped. The team was composed of highly experienced Sherpa guides and international climbers. By late July, the mountain issued clear warnings. Heavy snowfall had dramatically increased the risk of slides, leading several veteran independent teams to abandon their summit pushes and evacuate to safety. The Elite Exped team chose to remain. This decision placed the commercial momentum of a high-profile expedition in a direct path toward the deteriorating reality of the mountain slopes. On the morning of Thursday, July 30, the team prepared to leave Camp 2. The air was cold, and the gear was set for a final push toward the high camps and the summit beyond. Satellite telemetry reconstructs their path. At 5:33 a.m., Nirmal Porja's tracker registers the group leaving Camp 2 at 6,166 meters, moving up the West Ridge. Maintaining pace, the final GPS pings at 8:57 a.m. position the climbers at 6,660 meters, between Camps 2 and 3. In the thin air of the Karakoram, this data acts as a silent witness. These GPS coordinates are the only record of a team that would never have the chance to describe the morning's final moments themselves. Between 9 and 9:30 a.m., a slab of ice and snow high above the climbers failed. A serac collapse triggered a massive avalanche that swept directly through the gully, pulling the entire team off the fixed lines. This altitude chart tracks the avalanche's impact. Mallory Geiss's tracker recorded her plummeting 543 vertical meters in seconds. A second line tracking Nadira Al-Harthi shows a devastating fall of 1,651 meters, depositing her near the base of Broad Peak. The rapid vertical drops captured by these devices demonstrate the instantaneous power of a high-altitude slide. In these moments, gravity and thousands of tons of moving snow overwrite years of climbing expertise. Communication with the team was lost immediately, but a formal SOS signal was not transmitted to Pakistani authorities for 12 hours. This delay meant the search and rescue response didn't begin until long after the slide settled. Once the alarm was raised, severe weather initially grounded the Pakistani military's rescue helicopters. Ground teams and drones were forced to search the vast debris fields under the constant threat of deadly secondary slides. At these altitudes, rescue is a perilous gamble. Even with modern technology, a mission's success is entirely dependent on narrow weather windows that can completely close without warning. The loss was a staggering blow to the Sherpa community, claiming the lives of Yukta, Kilu, Nima, Nawang, and Galu. These men were the essential backbone of the sport, responsible for the safety of almost every climber who reaches the top of the world. They were joined on the rope by international dreamers: Mallory Geiss of the USA, Sohail Saki of Pakistan, Wang Zhang of China, and Nadira Al-Harthi of Oman. This diverse group was unified by a singular passion for high-altitude exploration. They spent years training and sacrificing to stand in the world's most extreme environment. These 10 extraordinary lives, each driven by individual paths and deep ambitions, ended the moment they intersected on the West Ridge. Analysts have pointed to a Nimsdai effect reshaping the industry, a drive for commercial teams to mirror Persia's own record-breaking speed. This pressure often encourages expeditions to maintain aggressive schedules, even when the mountain suggests otherwise. This environment can subtly alter how risk is calculated. When independent climbers correctly read the weather and retreat, high-profile commercial teams may feel compelled to push on to meet client expectations and media timelines. The high Karakoram confirms that no milestone is worth a gamble against the weather. Survival above 8,000 meters requires the humility to see a timely descent not as a failure, but as a requisite of the sport. Broad Peak Base Camp has become a place of quiet reflection for a mountaineering world in mourning. The sport has lost a generation of elite talent and 10 people who carried the spirit of modern adventure. Every climber who steps into the death zone accepts the extreme risks involved. They do so because they are driven by a profound need to push human potential to its absolute limit. Rest in peace to all 10 climbers. Thank you for joining us. Subscribe to Untold Journey for more documentaries on survival, mountaineering, and the enduring human spirit.